paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, yeah, it's all right, refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And
I
yes,
don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
Hello, Corbin, everybody. My recording's going.
Is your recording going, Jason?
Oh, shit. No, it wasn't. Hang on.
Good. Thank you. Now it is. And welcome into the show, everybody.
No, it was going. I don't know. I was trying to do a bit, and you didn't yes and me.
Yes, and it's time to start the show, Jason. Welcome in, everybody. This is Brainstorm Brewery. So look, sometimes the opening bits work, and sometimes they do.
You're
what Jason...
involved.
Yeah, that must be it. That must be it. Welcome in. I'm Corbin. That's Jason. We're joined as always by DJ. No guests this week, but we have plenty to talk about because the Channel Fireball Marketplace launched. The TCGPlayer site broke. Mark Rosewater talked about the reserve list, and we got Breaking Bulk and Pick of the Week. Welcome in, Brainstorm Brewery.
TCGPlayer pulled a Facebook.
They pulled a Facebook.
No, I'm just kidding. When people got to TCGPlayer today, their badges worked on the front door.
All right, well, let's talk about the big news of the weekend. Channel Fireball launched their marketplace to try to compete with TCGPlayer. TCGPlayer responded by running a very large kickback, I believe, either the
15%.
largest or second largest they've ever done, 15%. And then their website broke from the demand, I guess. So take that for what you will. What do you think of the... I mean, this is big happenings in the Magic secondary market world. What do you think, the outcome of all of this is going to be?
So I talked on this podcast before. I was excited for the Channel Fireball Marketplace launch. I pre-subscribed or pre-applied or pre-approved or whatever you want to call it. I was ready to list cards on launch day as the countdown ticked. And I found that their UI was very, very frustratingly slow to use. There were several things that I just didn't feel like were intuitive or easy to implement. I listed a few things and I just got sick of it, and I didn't really put any product out there. I know some stores had a lot of success with it. And I had like an open dialogue conversation with one of the people at CFB who was sort of on deck to like answer questions or help store setup, and he acknowledged that there were a lot of like things that they wanted to fix as soon as they got like the ship settled after launch and all that stuff. But it's probably not something I'll be using too much in the near future. Like it seems like it would have had promise if a lot of those kinks got ironed out, but I just know a lot of stores had some trouble on the launch.
Okay. Well, I mean, what's interesting is that a lot of customers had trouble at TCGPlayer over the weekend too when the site went down. So that's a
yeah. Well, I mean, like CFB also did like a promo. They did like a 20% kickback, which was bigger than TCG's 15% kickback, but it was harder to use because there were fewer people listing stuff on the platform. Like I was like, oh, cool. I could be the only person on CFB to have like these specific year of Commander precons listed. I could be the only one with a C15 precons listed. And then like the CSV upload was just like not easy to use. And it was a lot of work to upload a minimal amount of product. And I just was like, meh.
Well, hopefully that gets ironed out. I mean, we don't know from their end, obviously, what whether they considered it a success or anything like that. But we know that TCGPlayer obviously had enough traffic that it crashed their servers. So even after the kickback, which, by the way, we've got holidays coming up, I'm sure is going to get, emptied right back into TCGPlayer's accounts. They're going to be doing all right with that. But now we officially have two marketplaces, and there can be no bigger competitor in name, I think, to TCGPlayer than Channel Fireball. So we're in. I don't think so. Channel Fireball has more. I think they have the same recognition with
Channel has a lot more brand recognition from the non-competitive side than Star City. Star City is a lot more grinder friendly. It's a lot more like competitive, tiered. Like, here's your metagame breakdowns. Here's your analysis on how to like break through the standard events and all that. But like, Channel has always had a much wider breadth of content for people who are just more on the casual side of things.
Yeah, I mean, I also just, Channel Fireball has LSV, and LSV is probably the biggest name and has a lot of connections in other communities, etc. Anyways, I mean, we can quibble over it. I just think that Channel Fireball has better brand recognition outside of Magic than Star City
Oh, for
does.
sure. Outside of Magic, especially, yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, but like regardless, we now have two competitors in the marketplace side of things that are big. So we'll see where things go from here. I mean, are we going to see prices driven down, or are all these kickbacks going to drive prices up as people rush to buy?
So I can talk about the seller side of things from the TCG sale a bit, because there is a way to take advantage of this. I talked a little bit about CFB, but like, you have to be a actual business to sell on CFB. So any advice I give for TCG players is going to be significantly more useful, because all you need to sell on TCG is a phone number, a bank account, and an email address. Like, that's you literally just need those three things, and you can make an account.
What if you don't have those three things?
I would say that there are bigger issues in your adult life that you need to take care of.
But thanks for listening to the podcast. Don't know how you're doing it, but thanks.
The heck, you have a cellular telephone without having a phone number?
All right, so one of the biggest things that people need to think about when it comes to these like huge kickbacks is that the prices are on the website that everybody uses, like when actually trading or buying or selling between each other or whatever, are going to change dramatically for some cards between that one Friday evening and Sunday, like the aftermath, so to speak. So like, if you're trading for a card, or you like want to pick something up at FNM, or even if you're just like browsing Facebook or like some other like tertiary marketplace, and somebody's like, I always sell at 10% below TCG low, which is what I usually do, like, your ability to buy that card is going to be significantly better before the sale than after the sale, because the market will just be like dried up. So if we just take a theoretical card of like, oh, this card's normally like $35, a lot of those are going to be bought on Friday, Saturday, assuming like that it's a reasonably high volume card. Then like, if you check the TCG low on Sunday, it might be like 46 or 42. It'll be temporary, and like it's almost certainly going to be regulated again. It's going to go back to normal. The marketplace will have more listings added, and everything will go back to normal. But like, if you're just that person who's normally like, oh yeah, I just try to buy stuff at TCG low, that's fine. Like, that number will like spike during that short period of time.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense over that time period, and then everything
like
balances out over the weeks following.
Yeah, and like, from a secondary standpoint, like, if you're a seller and you're like, oh, I'm so happy for this sale that's going to happen, I'm going to make so many sales during this kickback. If you're at your computer and actively listing cards, do you want to be the person listing on Thursday night or Friday night, whenever the kickback launches, when all those copies are moving at that lower TCG low, or do you want to be the last person to sell a copy during that sale? Because like, I want to be the last person to sell copies during that. And there's also the added benefit of like, you can list a lot more obscure stuff that doesn't normally sell. Like, I listed a bunch of alpha stuff on TCGPlayer before I left for the weekend, just because like, that stuff normally gets reserved for like personal requests, or like specific people asking me for that card, or I sell it on Twitter. But like, there's a lot of old school players who are going to be just sort of lurking around that site, just waiting for the kickback to buy something that they wouldn't normally spend. So like, I put a ton of alpha stuff that like, I move maybe one copy every 2 months, but I sold random time elementals and Presence of the Masters and just like stuff that doesn't normally move because of that sale, and because I timed it that way.
No, those are great insights. I mean, that all checks out. On a broader level, do you guys think that there is sort of room for two marketplaces in Magic? Are we gonna?
There were two marketplaces before. There was eBay and TCGPlayer.
Well,
there was Magic Card Market. You know,
well,
like,
In Europe, yeah. Look, I'm saying this. Do you think that when people remember when I started playing, people quoted Star City prices. Nowadays, people quote TCG player prices because it's a marketplace.
It's because
Do we think that? It's certainly part of it. Do we think that we see differences between Channel Fireball and TCG Player? Do we think that we see people lean towards using Channel Fireball? I mean, just how do you see these two interacting moving forward? But,
I don't know. We were speculating at that point, right?
I mean, yeah, we are.
We're speculating. Like, the thing is, Channel Fireball has a lot of ground to make up. They tried the membership thing that didn't really work. I think a lot of people were upset about that. I think they got a long way to go before before people trust their marketplace as much as TCG players. It kind of seems like, I don't know. It seems like the trust isn't there yet. But I think if their prices are that good, then they can compete with TCG Player. But I think they would need so many users to generate enough competition for the prices to be lower than TCG Player. But I also think that people like brands they trust that have been around for a long time. And I think there are some stores selling a lot of singles that people don't realize how much volume those stores do. So I think it's going to take a lot to get casual players who aren't even buying from TCG Player right now to go to Channel Fireball, and casual EDH, that kind of stuff is where the growth is. So Channel Fireball has really got its work cut out for it. I don't know how they are going to let people know what's going on. It could just be they get really good at search engine optimization or something, but I think casual is where it's at, and I don't know that costing more than TCG Player and having a lot of flesh and blood content is how you capture the casual players.
We'll see how that we'll see how some of those decisions pan out. DJ, what's your take?
I do think that they have a long way to cover in terms of software. Like, TCG has definitely tried to rebrand itself over the past decade as like, we are a software company for LGSs. That's like what they want to be. They want to be Amazon. TCG very much wants to be the Amazon of card games. And so a large part of Amazon's thing is Amazon Web Services and just being like this software mega giant that also has like a retail thing that people turn into a household name. It's like, oh, I'm going to go to Amazon to buy whatever. And right now TCG Player has that. They have the app. They have all of this store your product. They have all of these programs in place that Channel has to catch up to. And I do think that Channel has the edge in terms of like being a place for non-Magic content and like cross gaming contamination, sort of like Pokemon players checking out Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh players checking out Magic, that kind of thing. But Channel has a long way to go. And I do think that they don't need a ton of sellers in the marketplace. They just need the sellers on the marketplace to have quantity of inventory. Like, it doesn't matter if Channel has 1,000 sellers or 100 sellers, as long as 100 sellers can have the inventory of 1,000 sellers, right? So, like, if you have big names move over to the Channel marketplace and they make their ability to upload inventory more efficient, then that's going to go a long way. And so the other thing is that TCG syncs with Crystal Commerce right now, which is like this third-party integration software. Like, if you see a big name store selling on TCG and eBay and Amazon, they're using Crystal more than likely to sync between those three platforms.
Oh, right. I can't imagine doing it without. You're gonna have so many inventory issues. Like, even being on Crystal Commerce, people like double, triple sell cards when they spike. Like, I can't even imagine uploading the same cards to 3 different places and not having a way to track it.
Right, and that's the thing, is that Channel, instead of Crystal, are partnered with Binder POS, which is sort of Crystal's biggest competitor, and it's the sync software for you to sync with. Binder POS syncs to all your places and Channel, but it doesn't sync to TCG Player, which is the bit you cannot have inventory sync sold on TCG and Channel, which is what somebody like me would want to do. I would want to have my inventory on TCG and Channel. I don't use eBay. I don't do Amazon, and I can't do that right now. So like, they would need to have that across platform compatibility, which they don't have right now. Maybe it becomes worth it. Maybe Binder's better than Crystal. That's not an area of expertise I can talk about. But like I do think that Channel like has the potential to be the Amazon household name, but like Jason said, they have a lot of catching up to do.
All right, well, good thoughts, guys. I mean, yeah, that all makes sense. And you know, the thing is, both of these websites have expanded outside of Magic, right? You know, Jason mentioned Flesh and Blood for Channel Fireball, you know, which is something that I've been involved in coverage wise for as well. They also have Pokemon, as does TCGPlayer and all this stuff. So it's a lot of interesting stuff going on in this space. That's for sure. Is there anything else that we should know moving forward about people trying to figure out how this is going to, you know, work into their buying habits?
Yes, there is. So when TCG Direct launched, this is like a decade ago-ish, 2012, 2013 or so, they did a big promo thing that you may or may not remember, where if you bought cards on Direct, you were sort of entered into this lottery where you had the chance to, it was almost like this, the first edition Zendikar thing, Zendikar Treasures or whatever it was called, way back in the Zendikar days, OG Zendikar, where you could like, oh, if your Direct order could have like a Mox Ruby in it, or it could have a Black Lotus, like you could win all these crazy high-end Magic cards. And I think that like a lot of people, when they see promotions like that, are like, oh, my odds are very low. Like it's like I have like a 1 in a million chance to win a Black Lotus. Sure, like it's like an eBay repack, right? Where you're just like, sure, I could order this, but this shouldn't be an influence. This shouldn't like impact my decision making or how I spend my money. This tiny lottery percentile. I live near TCG, and I know people who have worked at TCG since the beginning. And I visited their office back in when it was a tiny place. And I happen to know that like your odds of winning were like reasonable, because the number of orders that were placed were low enough, because they were still a tiny little startup, that like it was very Corbin Hostler radio showy, where like if you're the only person to call for the tickets, you're the 9th caller and the 1st caller and the 3rd caller. Like you just happen to be the only one. So like Channel Fireball is doing a similar promotion throughout the end of October. They're doing their Marketplace Madness, which is for every $10 spent on the Marketplace, you get entered in to win a Black Lotus or a super cool first edition Flesh and Blood box or a Charizard. And like, it does make me wonder, like, if Channel Fireball was eclipsed by TCG on this launch weekend, and if their Marketplace launch is not as successful as they want it to be, they still have to give these things out. Like the people who place orders are being entered into this. So like if the prices are comparable and you're like, oh, should I spend my $100 on TCG or on CFB? Like it's worth considering. Maybe you're like now a 1%, like 1 out of 100 drop rate for that Charizard or whatever. Like it's worth considering, like if the number of entries are low enough.
Good to know. I mean, yeah, that's a lot of those things. Like you brought up the radio contest. If people don't know that little bit of BSB meme, I am do have a pretty good history of winning radio contests, because not as many people call as you think. Anyways, but that was great. I'm very curious. All of you listening at home, go check out the Channel Fireball Marketplace. Let us know what you think. Comparisons between it and TCGPlayer, anything that we missed.
Type it in the comments below. Corbin's like, let us know what you think, but he didn't specify.
Type it in the comments.
Like,
click subscribe.
Because like, there's some people listening to this podcast that are like verbally telling us what they think, but like, this is a one-way medium.
Their car. I can't believe you guys didn't.
Yeah, we can't hear you unless you type it in a medium like Discord or Patreon or email. So
engage with us on YouTube. Like we know that people are listening to this podcast on podcasting apps, but if you're going to listen to this on YouTube, and you should, because then you can see the graphics and stuff, while you're there, why not give us a subscribe and a follow and all that kind of stuff.
The bell icon is important.
Yeah, take your
it's
time.
A
with the bell
Pavlovian
icon.
thing.
Yeah, don't just hit the bell icon. You gotta click around it a little bit at first.
Warm it up.
You gotta warm it up.
Great advice. And then what do you do?
Like finish YouTube, close it, go to sleep.
Okay. Good to know. Anyways, everyone go do that, youtube.com/Brainstorm Brainstorm Brewery. It's time, though, for the game in which I always dominate these two. It's time for Breaking Bulk.
Breaking Bolt time. Breaking Bolt time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking Bulk. The end.
And I'll start things off with a card that I know is going to stump you both, and which will continue my winning streak at this game. It's a white uncommon from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms.
2-0.
I'll take my W.
Corbin, too soon. Really? Really? Too soon.
There's been how many sets since AFR came out?
Too soon.
Probably 3 or 4. A white uncommon.
More than 2 sets.
History
Is it
Games
from
has
the,
a
is it
20-year
from the set or the
moratorium.
pre-con? Is it from the set or the pre-con?
It's from the set?
Is it a class?
Nope.
Is it the card drawing flump one or whatever?
Nope.
That's
Is that
rare.
That's rare, right?
Rare.
Okay. I
Are
have
there
not
any
picked
white
AFR.
uncommons in this set?
There's $1.39 uncommon you're missing.
Like, all I know is, like, I know the good rares and I know there's a good common.
Anyways, like I said, I'll take that W because I knew you all would not
I
get
reject
this.
the idea of a winning streak, but I will give you this one. The jury is out on whether or not you have a streak outside of your underpants, but like
There's only one. Hang on. There's a creature.
Nope.
It's not a creature.
Nope.
All right.
it's a removal spell then. Like that's the only thing white does.
Nope. It's not it's an artifact. I'll say that.
What?
It's an
Oh,
artifact.
it's portable hole.
Holy Avenger.
It's portable hole.
That's a removal spell. That's what I said.
Well, that's why that's why I said it
Portable.
it was not a spell, like it was not an instant. It is portable hole though. Yeah, it removes exiles a creature with CMC 2 or less until it leaves the battlefield. Hits your Croxes of the world and who knows what else in current standard.
Oh, that's kind of funny.
Yeah. Croxa falls into a hole, as it turns out.
I do love when like removal spells hit or miss niche conditions like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like you somebody plays a Gurmag Angler turn 1 and you can't fatal push it. It's like
Yep.
Cool.
All right.
I have a card.
What do you got, Jason?
It's a black uncommon with 1 printing.
And what printing would that be in?
Well, if I tell you,
You got it. Are you kidding me?
it came out in the year 2013.
What is this?
This is insane.
This is a new low.
Came out in the year 2013. You know how I know it came out in the year 2013?
Because it's core set, it's Magic 2013.
Commander 2013.
Say Magic 2013 came out in 2012.
Is it Curse of whatever Shallow Graves?
It's Curse of Shallow Graves. People are building Lind Cheerful Tormentor because it is a stupid ass deck that's a lot of fun to play. And so far, the only curses going up are the bad ones. But Curse of Shallow Graves was in the Nekusar deck, which meant that like we were just throwing these away by the handful. And we should not have been, perhaps. Like, you remember that Nekusar deck? Everyone, like, all those cards were trash.
Mm-hmm.
Just because everyone was like, I got the Strix and the Merfolk out of it.
I think
don't
Baleful
care
Strix
about
was
the rest of these
Esper, wasn't
cards.
it?
No. The Baleful Strix was in the deck with the
Okay.
with the True Name Nemesis. It was dumb. So Nekusar cards were just sort of trash forever, and it's good to see Curse of Shallow Graves start to creep up towards 2-3.
Is Curse of Disturbance spiked yet? Kind of a little bit. I play Curse of
Curse of
Disturbance.
Vengeance went nuts, which is, it doesn't make any sense. It's not even good in the deck.
Curse
Like-
of Disturbance, DJ, to answer your question, has gone from it's gone up like 10 to 15%. It's $1.70. It's 75 cents to $1. A little bit of movement over the last few weeks, so
A cursed deck with no access to white feels really loose to me. Right? Like Overwhelming Splendor is overwhelmingly the best curse.
Overwhelming Splendor is a nice one.
But it's like you made it a 3-player game is what you did. So it's sort of not cool.
It does have that problem, yeah. All right, DJ, what do you have for Breaking Bulk this week?
I have a basic land that was printed in 2019, according to this fucking new rule we have.
This isn't how new rules work. You could just tell us what set it's from, DJ.
Yeah,
Also,
you can't complain about the thing I do.
Basic land.
It's from Eldraine.
We don't care.
Why me? Y'all, like, it's just not fair. I come ready with a great pick. It's recent, it's timely, and you all just have to change.
Throne of Eldraine just rotated. People will be tossing out their Eldraine cards.
You said basic land.
Yeah, people will be tossing out their
What is this worth? A nickel?
It's worth over $1.
Eat shit.
It's worth over $1.
Well, that's worth picking, isn't it?
Okay, wait. I got this. It's a it's a plains.
Nope.
It's an island.
Nope.
Swamp.
Forest.
It's a forest.
Yeah, I knew it.
Jason got it. Jason gets credit.
Basic forest.
It's
From
the
Throne of Eldraine. And it's worth more than $1. I have all this information. I knew all this. If I remember correctly, Throne of Eldraine came out in the year 2019.
That's what I said.
This is all information I have that I'm telling our listeners. It's a Throne of Eldraine forest, everybody. Nothing.
It's number 266 on the collector number.
Not a tough pick of the week. You're breaking bulk.
I don't know why it's money. So, like, there are some basic lands where I can explain to you why it's money. Like, the Odyssey Plains with the Thunder is, like, just iconic and people love it because it has a weather storm. The Island and Swamp from Lorwyn are the only ones that depict the fairy land of Glen Alondra. So, like, those are worth money. This number 266, the Eldraine Forest, I got nothing, but I list them for 99 cents and they sell. So... You got me. Like, I got nothing.
266 Eldraine Forest, huh?
Correct.
Oh my god, it's just a forest. Like,
it's got
like the stump in the middle
and shit.
Oh, it looks like a dick, I guess, right? Like a really stumpy.
No.
266A? Is there 266B?
No, it's just 266. It's just forest in the TCGPlayer search engine.
I'm looking
for some
at
reason.
it.
Yeah, it looks there's like a little phallic thing front and center.
If that's what your Rorschach test says, then by God, that's what yours says. I have a backup pick for you guys.
DJ.
It's not me, it's selling.
DJ.
What, Corbin?
What if it costs more because it doesn't have the number in TCGPlayer?
What, so it just gets purchased more? Like, by some, like, weird analytic thing?
Just throwing it out there.
Maybe. I don't know. But I have a lot of people on Twitter who DM me and ask me for specific basic land sets. And I usually say no. Some people message me, they're like, do you have a bunch of Odyssey basics so I can finish my cube? And I'm like, I do not pick Odyssey basics. I'm sorry. But I went down a rabbit hole recently and I found these sets that have the highest likelihood to have basic lands that are over $1.
Uh-huh.
And then I just went through like 30,000 basic lands last week and I just picked all of the good ones. So I now, for all of those people wondering, I have your Mirage lands in stock. I have, because for some reason, almost every basic land in Mirage is worth at least $1 to $2.
Yeah,
so that's a thing. Like Odyssey, Onslaught are big ones. 7th edition's big for some reason. Obviously, like P3K and like Portal and Obscure Arena promos are like good, but like
I never throw any of that stuff in bulk. I always pull anything a little bit weird out. So like having the P3K basics separated out back when they were worth barely anything, you know. Now you feel like a genius anytime something goes from like 50 cents to $5. And all you did was not sell it for the bulk rate. It feels real good.
Yeah.
Never sell anything. That's our money making tip.
That is unfortunately the way our advice seems to go. But it
Hey, I'm telling people to sell
work.
these forests.
Yes. Before TCGPlayer updates their listing and it goes back down.
I would
But
like a
maybe there's a
playset of
reason.
that forest with the stump pixelated.
If you
Jeez.
if you are looking for a backup breaking bulk because Corbin's pouty that he couldn't guess it, I have an Avacyn
okay,
restored. I have an
okay.
Avacyn restored rare ready to go, and it's
What
green.
set was Avacyn restored?
The one after Dark Ascension.
No, I already put basic forest duck FJ into the notes.
You have an
It's
Avacyn
over.
restored what?
Green rare.
Bro, it's the
Gutter grime?
increasing counters thing.
It's neither of those. Increasing Savagery was Dark Ascension, not Avacyn restored, and Gutter Grime
Yeah.
was Innistrad.
Lost in the Woods.
No. Although that's probably a good one. I don't know if that card's actually worth anything, but it
Might be worth $1. I don't know.
Lost in the Woods was really funny when
Limited.
you'd have-
Nice draft deck.
Yeah.
This is an Avacyn restored rare. It was reprinted. This is the giveaway in the welcome decks.
Soul of
Like
the
those little
Harvest.
30 card precons that they give out for free.
Soul of the Harvest.
It's Soul of the Harvest. This card is always $1 as well.
It's a good card.
6 mana, 6/6 trample. Whenever another non-token creature enters, you draw a card.
You're right. That was the giveaway.
There you go. You got 2 out of me. You got a forest and the card that it casts.
Wow, we got a basic forest. How generous of you. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk very briefly about this. The algorithm says we must mention reserved list, and more specifically, they're actually having some.
If we want to trigger the algorithm, say reserve list, because all the dumb people who
Mhm.
make reactionary content on YouTube say reserve list.
We'll name the episode reserved list, just to make sure we cover both.
I'm F6ing this conversation.
Well, just consider this a PSA then.
I reserved the right to not talk about this.
Recently, Mark Rosewater was asked if there was anything the public could do to change Wizards' minds about the reserve list. He said no. He said, you will all be, this is what I loved. He said, you will all be happier if you stopped worrying about it. And I love it because that's the exact same advice we've given to people on this podcast for 9 years. Just stop pissing in the wind and live in the world you live in.
I will be happier if you stop complaining about the reserved list. I don't care if you're happier. I'll be happier if you stop.
I just thought it was very interesting that was the messaging coming from Mark Rosewater. More interesting is this. Someone on Reddit, and look, no one's independently verified this outside of, what we've all seen, but someone on Reddit a few months back claiming to be Paul Barkley, the former rules manager, says that they were in the meeting about the reserve list and Wizards, it's not his, they said this person with a Reddit account that appears to be Paul Barkley claims that it was not a legal decision that was made, which really got the rumor mill going again, which led to Mark Rosewater issuing that just let this go. But I don't think people will. But just so you all know, we've now satisfied the algorithm.
I've been playing Magic for 45 minutes, and the fact that Vintage is not accessible to me is a travesty.
All right, I'm done F6ing. So I will say one thing. it is really interesting that
DJ spammed F3 to come back.
Is that the MTGO?
It's the remove all stops button. Yeah.
Okay. So they said in the Reddit comment, we're going to assume this is true for discussion's sake, that it was the reason they're steadfast about this is because they want to keep their promises. But how many decisions has Wizards walked back on in the past 5 years alone? Remember when they changed standard rotation to only be 18 months and then they immediately changed it back?
Yeah,
and then,
the World Championship prize
Is
pool.
that a promise, though, or was that
the World Championship
thing they tried?
Listen, the World Championship prize pool was, and they got called out for cutting that, and they had to walk that back and give it back.
Yeah, they've made a lot of announcements for competitive Magic and hashtag pay the pros. There's been no shortage of community oopsies that this company has made that they have been pitchforked into retracting. So I can understand community reaction to this Reddit post being that they believe that they can change the minds of a corporation. I don't think that they will ever vote with their wallets. That like, people can believe that they can vocalize their change and like, oh, if we all gather together with our mob pitchforks, then we'll do that. But like, they'll be gathered around the Wizards headquarters, like the big tower, and then they'll finish their riot. It'll be like 7:00 p.m. They'll all get tired and they'll be like, well, before we go, can we at least buy a secret lair while we're here? Like, that'll be
we are like the people that hope the protesters fail.
Oh man, look, no,
that's us, man.
No,
we're like, I make so much more money if you're.
We're the pitchfork sellers.
Fails.
I am not. I'm none of these things.
Corbin is an ivory tower elite. Who wants the little guy to just shut up and take it, and they'll be happier if they stop wanting the reserved list to go away. Mm-hmm. Man, I should have sold Playmats that say end the reserve list, and it just had that be my brand, the anti-reserve list guy. Fuck, that would be so easy. All the content I make is like, you know what time it is? Talk about ending the reserve list. And I would make a video on YouTube every day. It'd be like, this card's on the reserve list, but you could play it, but it's $30 because it's on the reserve list.
Look, I want to add some context here, though. This Reddit comment also seems to be referring to a meeting that came before the decision, the revised policy. Because look, we're getting into the weeds just a little bit here, but remember back in 2010, they did Phyrexia Negator and some other reserved list cards.
Yeah, there was the Mox Diamond. It was the Mox Diamond argument,
the loophole. Yeah, and then they changed course on that. So it's very possible, like, people are trying to take this one person giving their experience on Reddit, again, even assuming that it's true. I mean, it seems like it probably, at least from their perspective, is, and assuming that nothing happened after that, right? But either way, if Mark Rosewater says, leave it alone, like we've been saying forever, I think we should all leave it alone. And I think
Reddit identified the Boston bomber, okay, so.
Yeah, right. And I think that we should take a cue there and we should move on. It's time for Pick of the Week.
Pick of the Week, Pick of the Week, Pick of the Week. Time for the Pick of the Week.
Whoa, Corbin said take a cue. Illuminati confirmed. He didn't say take a hand, he said take a cue.
Good one, Jason.
This podcast is secretly in support of the increase in petrol prices in Europe because we're queuing for gas.
That was a stretch, DJ, but you know what, man, you tried, and I'm happy for you. I'm also happy for anybody who's going to pick up some of this pick of mine before it goes up. But the card Time Civ, specifically the Double Masters version, is $2. It's climbed up
because of Eloise.
And it's climbed up from $1.50. And it also, by the way, it's sacrifice 5 artifacts, take an extra turn. If Viridian Revel's going to go from 50 cents to $3, DJ's pick a few weeks ago, just based on treasure hype. Well, Time Civ happens to play into that pretty well, not even mentioning any of the other commanders or strategies or themes it plays with. So the card is previously, before the reprint, it was originally in Alara Reborn. It was $10+. And it was in Mystery Boosters, and it was in Double Masters, and you can get the Mystery Booster Double Master version for $2 to $3, and I think it's just probably going to be a $5 card again. So I'm in on Time Civ right now.
Seems fun. This is probably the strongest I've felt about a pick of the week in the past year or so.
I like this.
This is one where I am just like, a lot of my picks are like, this is guaranteed money, but it's like a 30-cent card that will probably make you like become a $5 card in 2 years. This is like a $15 card that will guaranteed go to 40 or 45 or whatever in the next like 2 months. Bloodline Keeper is going to be $1 million, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this card has always been one of the most popular vampire cards ever, and it just continues to overperform. It's just everything that a casual player wants. It's very like flavorful. It's very iconic. It does all the things you want.
It's also just good.
It's unbeatable and limited, but that's beside the point.
It's a good period, man.
It's
Card's
a
great.
double-faced card that is effectively immune to reprints. They had to shove it in from the Vault Transform, and if it wasn't in there, it'd probably be 25 right now. But the Vampire Wedding set is upon us.
Mm-hmm.
And
if you look at all the dumb zombies that have gone up,
well, like there's a lot of zombies that went up. There's a lot of just good vampire cards you can pick from. It's not particularly difficult to like. This is not a big brain, super high level pick. There's a lot of vampires you can pick from. Bloodline Keeper is just one I think that will perform very well in volume. And it's probably hard to pick them up in bulk just because sellers tend to not have them in stock because the cards sell so well. But so you can't like buy a brick of it. But it's
you
just
remember
a
when
card.
this card was once like $2. I remember this card being like one of my favorite trade targets back in Innistrad because
like back
trading was a thing, but it was
when
like
I was first getting
secret
into,
$3. Yeah.
When I was first getting into Magic and finance and stuff, this was you buy it at 1, sell it at 3. This was like a guaranteed triple up.
Yep, loved it. Worth quite a bit, and it's in fact not gotten. I mean, despite the power creep of Magic, this card's actually remained fairly relevant in terms of being the best at what it does because it just puts out 2/2 tokens. Not very many 2/2.
4/4s.
Yeah, well, yeah, then once you the card is just great. So, big fan of that pick. Jason, what do you got?
I had a Lind based break in bulk, so why not a Lind based pick of the week?
Okay.
Last one standing is a Battle Bond Wrath that
that's
destroys every creature for 3 mana, but sometimes leaves one around, and sometimes it's your creature. So last one standing is just a cool card, and it's one of those board wipes that's chaotic. People like that kind of thing, and this is gettable under $5. Last one standing will not be the last one standing under $5.
This card is like so well designed.
This card's cool.
It's a little too well designed.
This actually is, I think, a card I should be playing in like my Bolus deck. And I just maybe didn't even know. Like I've seen it before, moments. But kind of forgot about it.
Like it leads to just good moments. Like there's like sometimes you can play it with like 2 creatures and it's a 50-50 of like who wins the game or not. Like it's just a good moments card. Like Magic needs more of this.
Yep, and if you're playing a crazy deck like Lind, like chances are you want to be doing stuff like this. So enough people are putting last one standing in their Lind decks that are showing up on EDH Rec. So that's what made me notice. We all have our methods for finding our stuff on this cast, and mine is just seeing what people are actually playing as opposed to what they say they're going to play.
Yep, and then we go to our sponsor, mtgstocks.com, where we look at the graphs for all these cards because no matter what information we have coming to us, the easiest way to check yourself is always to go to the data. That is the philosophy we have at EDH Rec. It's philosophy at MTG Stocks, which is why they have so much information available and why we are thrilled to be partnered with them and have them as our sponsor. So go check out mtgstocks.com for all your pricing needs, all the interests of the day, your sealed product prices, everything we've been talking about. That's where you can go to learn more.
Yeah. For what it's worth, if you look at the graph for Bloodline Keeper, it doesn't necessarily... This is a graph that doesn't necessarily look like it's a good buy-in. It just spiked like 4 or 5 months ago. It went from 8 or 9 to 15 or 20. And it's creeping back down. It's declining, but it will not decline to what it used to be. It is going to just have another Bitcoin-esque spike. This is
and here's the thing, DJ. If you look at the transform version of the card, the graph looks much less spiky and much more like a card on the verge of spiking, if that makes sense. So
right, yeah.
You know, like those cards, they're going to move somewhat in tandem, obviously, but yeah, I mean, you just mentioned the graph, so just in fairness, the transform graph looks incredibly amenable. Like it looks like it's just about to pop.
And by transform, you mean from the vault transform?
Correct.
Not like
yeah.
The fact that the card just transforms.
Yes. Good point. Yes, yeah. The From the Vault transform version went through a spike.
It's like, wow,
you
Bloodline Keeper is super expensive, but for some reason, like, Lord of Lineage is not expensive. What? Well, the card changes price when it flips. It's crazy.
Anyways, yeah, this card came down a little bit after it spiked, like DJ mentioned, but now it's started to tick back up and is very much looks like it's about to pop. So I think that you can learn a lot by looking at different. That's like we said, go to the data. You have multiple data points for this card, and that's you can learn.
If 30 people will pay $40 for Rot Hulk, then 50 people will pay $40 for Bloodline Keeper.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I don't agree about Rot Hulk though.
You don't like Rot Hulk, Jason? The zombie card that everyone's been all over the last few days.
I don't know. I think the demand for it's overstated, but like it's one of those things where if people notice it's sold out, it doesn't matter. And I think Bloodline Keeper could do the same thing. And even if every vampire deck built runs the Bloodline Keeper and people are happy to pay the new price, doesn't matter. There's some stuff you see coming that you don't even have to fully understand.
I have sold so many $9 Emerwolves, man.
That's
many.
Insane. That's crazy. It was not that long ago at all that we were talking about how Emerwolf was like, well, it's $1.50, $2. Man, it's like not that long ago. I probably passed over some in bulk.
Don't be the dipshit paying $9 for some uncommon vampire. Just get the stuff now. And guess what? It doesn't matter. The deck's not going to be good.
You know what, man?
Everyone's going to be super jazzed to build it. So just get all the vampire.
What's the one in Shadows over Innistrad? Indulgent vampire, right?
Oh, the sacrifice.
Yeah, is Indulgent vampire just like gonna do Immerwolf things?
Probably.
Yeah, like Jason says, go buy him now. Go get it.
Yeah, the
maybe
Lord.
not. I mean, I don't think it'll go to 9 because it doesn't like. There's like one card that does what Immerwolf does. There's not one card that does what.
Immerwolf doesn't even work with the new stuff. It doesn't matter. It's crazy.
Indulgent Aristocrat, by the way, is the card. It's a 60 cents. Always been a good breaking bulk, but it was previously a $2 card. So, I mean, yeah. But anyways, the point is, you think this stuff is obvious and, everyone knows it's coming, therefore it's going to happen. And it's not like we were short on... It's not like we got no vampires because this was the werewolf set. We got plenty of vampires already. But there's going to be more with Crimson Vow and these cards that you think people would have already picked up. They haven't, and you still have time, but not a lot.
I'm going to reprice my Indulgent Aristocrats right now.
The Aristocrats.
I had them listed for 70 cents. They're now $2.99. I'm a patient man.
There you go. You're welcome. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast Brainstorm Brewery. I think that's all we have for this week. Reminder, you can go check out our sponsor at mtgstocks.com. You can find our Patreon at patreon.com/BSB. We appreciate all of the support from everybody. If you want some BCW supplies, the code is Brainstorm, and of course, originalmagicart.store. You can use Brew Crew. That's the big pitch list. Thank you for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week.
And when am I going to get my after hours? Get on that shit.
Wait. What did I pitch to? Had I pitched to Breaking Bulk?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm trying to remember what the last thing we said was before we started doing after hours.
We got like 1 minute into the podcast before.
But I had done a good here's everything we're going to talk about.
Well, nobody
Just
cares
fucking
about
start
that.
over. We're 1 minute in.
This should be the podcast.
This is not the podcast.
People should know how hard this is. People think podcasting is easy.
JJ, put this at the end of the episode. This is bonus.
They should hear how hard it is to get 3 people to cooperate long enough to get a podcast going. Because we can play together in Raft, a game that's actively trying to kill us, but if you ask us to say our thoughts into a microphone for an hour, we can't get started. It just doesn't happen. If people knew how many times we tried to record an episode and ended up with nothing after 3 fruitless hours just arguing with each other, they would have more respect for this podcast and what goes into it. They would go to patreon.com/BSB and they would give us money.